Thank you for joining us. I'm Michael Miller. We have a very special guest today, and we're going to be talking about food, all right? And your new involvement or your old involvement in a new project. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, first of all. My name is Sruly Meyer. I live in Hollywood, Florida, and I work in marketing myself, but on the side, I like to do home cooking and write recipes. I have an Instagram at Sruly Cooks, where I record videos of myself making the recipes or trying other recipes and letting you know if they're like worth it or not or good. I also do like kosher restaurant reviews, and my whole page is kosher because I'm an Orthodox Jew. I was just recently on a new show from Food Network. It's one of their brand new shows called 100 Cooks. It was recorded earlier, and it's going to be debuting June 7th. So that's like in less than 2 weeks, 9 o'clock on the Food Network. And then next day, every episode will be the next day available on HBO Max.
So, sir, let me ask you, how did that happen? I mean, there are literally, there are hundreds of thousands of people that do something similar.
Yeah.
Why you?
I don't know. It's a great question. I do ask myself that. How did that happen?
When are they going to really find out?
I will tell you that about 3 years ago, I was also contacted by a different network to do a cooking show that was based on ethnic style. So they had like different religious people there. And it seemed like I was probably going to get on the show, but then they'd let me know that the show would be recording in October. And as you could already guess, October is when Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is. So I had to decline. So it's possible from that I was already on like a list maybe. But in about, I would say October, I got a message on my Instagram and said, hey, hi, it's so-and-so, and I want to know if you'd be interested in applying for a new show on the Food Network.
So that's different than the original call?
Yeah, well, the first one came in through Instagram first, and I did think it was spam. I thought for sure this has got to be spam.
They got the wrong guy.
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. So the next time that it happened, I was a little bit more like...
Same company, different company?
I think it might have been like a lot of the casting people maybe like have relationships with each other. I don't know for sure that that's how they got me. They could have just got me by finding me themselves. But I do know that they said, hey, we love your page, we love your style. We'd love to talk to you. And when we got on the call, the first question before anything was, we know you're an Orthodox Jew, and there's going to be kosher, considerations for you that you're going to, we want to make sure that you are able to cook. And they told me, they said, when it's a smaller show, this is 100 cooks. So even their smaller show, which is 22 contestants, let's say, and then they also have Chopped, which is like 4 contestants. They might make certain accommodations for people. I know there was an Orthodox.
You mean for cooking?
For cooking, for kosher. But at this level and this scale, they just told me straight up, we're not going to be able to make sure you have kosher ingredients or kosher pots and pans. So if you do it, ask your rabbis or whatever and find out. So before I could even interview and apply, I had to call basically like a bunch of different rabbis, get their perspectives on it. And they told me, they gave me a little bit of like a cheat sheet of what I can do and what I can't do. I wasn't able to cook any dishes that have meat and milk together. As in kosher Jewish people, we don't mix meat and dairy. So I wouldn't be able to cook that. And also preferably not to handle like shellfish or like pork or stuff like that. But the big thing was that because I'm not benefiting from it, like I'm not being paid to cook. It's not like a job. It's sort of like a experience or a game show. And because I was not going to be tasting any of the food myself, so I don't have to worry about certain things. So as long as I didn't mix meat and milk, I was able to cook whatever dish I wanted, but I wouldn't be able to taste anything because whatever's being cooked or made in these pots and pans in that kitchen would not be considered kosher. So anything I cooked, there was no tasting along the way.
But the food you were cooking was considered kosher?
Not necessarily.
Okay, got
right?
it. Okay.
So, but the fact that I'm not, I was able to cook the food, but I wouldn't be able to eat it.
Okay.
Right. And I wouldn't be able to serve it to someone else who keeps
So
kosher.
why did they call you? Out of all the choices that they have, and there are untold numbers.
Yeah, well, I will tell you that the interview process was long. There was a lot of different levels, I guess you call it. Like, you speak to this person, you speak to that person. Then we do a video interview. Then if they like you, then they send you to the network. And then someone else looks at it. And people are constantly.
So there was a process.
Yeah, there was a very long process. And
it was a general call for the beginning.
And I think they liked, first of all, my story. I think aside from my Jewish background, my kosher background, I also have like an interesting, story growing up. Oldest of 10 children.
I think I know one of them.
Yes, you do know one of them.
We're related, folks.
We are related. Levi, who's number 4, is your son-in-law. Levi is number 4 in the 10. I'm at the top. And this is what I told the casting people. I was older and I was going to school. And in the Jewish schools, as you get older, the time you leave gets later. So, like, maybe you come home at 4 o'clock when you're, like, 10, but when you're, like, 15, 16, 17, you're coming home at 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, and I'm coming home. My mother made food for the kids, but by the time I get home,
nothing left.
There's not left. If you know Levi, you know our family, survival of the fittest, So I come home, there's nothing there, and I'd say, no, I got to eat. So my mother would say, go to the kitchen. Make yourself something.
See, something good came out of that.
So I learned to cook mostly for survival, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing with things, trying different things, saying, "Oh, I could also put this in here. Or maybe I tried doing that." And I developed a love for cooking, and it was something that I always felt like gave me a certain sense of independence. That wherever I was, I could throw together something, and I always did it. I continued to do it for many years on the side, or for Shabbat, or.
What's your Instagram?
It's at Sruly Cooks. SRULYCOOKS.
And so you got a lot of stuff up there. People can find out,
tons
find
of
out your real
stuff,
personality, all right?
Personality,
and how you mix all that stuff together.
Yeah, and I try to be very authentic in the sense that I don't have a lot of time to cook. So if I need to get dinner done or cooking for the Shabbat, I don't have a lot of time. So I don't make very complicated dishes. And a lot of times they still come out like as if they are complicated. So that's sort of my style on Instagram, where I encourage people to try hard things, but with an easy way to do it.
So what's it like for you when you cook and then you put it out for people to eat, and then they go, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah, when I say I'm authentic, I mean like authentic with myself also. So I know if something I made is good or not. So I will, if it's good, I'll be like, give me the compliments. It's good. But if it's bad, I'm gonna be the first person to say like, this didn't work. It's dry, or it doesn't have enough salt. And if they do try to massage a compliment, I would be like, you don't have to. Like, I know it's not.
So your sister-in-law, do I have that right?
Yes.
When she was a child, she would cook, and then she'd always say, "How's this taste?" And whether it was good or bad, "Oh, this is terrific." One day she looked at my face as I was telling her a story. She just took the whole thing. She put it right in front of me. She just put it right in the garbage. Sorry, Lauren.
I tell people all the time. I'm like, you don't have to. I'm a good boy. You can tell me if it's bad. If this challah didn't come out good, you think I'm not fooling myself. I know how challah tastes. It's not good. It's not good.
Have you tasted this?
Right. Like I'll taste a kugel and I'll say, "Oh, goodness, this did not have enough salt." And they'll be like, "No, it's really not so bad." You don't have to. It's okay. I know.
So you have a good time when you cook.
Yeah, and I do enjoy feeding people. And I enjoy people I find that people will go to a restaurant or they'll go to someone's house and they'll eat something and then they'll say like, yeah, it was not bad, it was okay. But the difference is when they like something, people light up. People are like, wow, that was amazing.
So my part of what I challenge myself with when I go out to dinner with people, and sometimes they bitterly complain about the food or whatever it is, and I say to them, when you're at home, right, you can't tell me it's even close to this, all right? But you don't complain to your wife or your husband or your children, just eat it, right? So again, now you've been cooking for 30 plus years. Yeah. Maybe longer.
Maybe a little bit longer.
A little bit longer than that. Yeah. So tell us some of the meals that you really enjoy making.
Oh, what's interesting? This is something I told a lot of the people on the show along the way when I was being cast, is that like obviously I'm Jewish, Orthodox, so there's a lot of traditional kosher foods, matzo ball soup, baking challah, those type of things, kugel or cholent, if you know what that is, those type of things. But I because I grew up in South Florida, so I have like a little bit of a love for like, Latin culture and stuff like that. So there are certain dishes where I like to add like heat or like a lot of
Say that one more
Cuban
time for the people that don't know. Add a little what?
heat.
And for those that are not familiar with that, that's hot where your whole face turns red.
Right, not to the extent where Levi who have tears on his face. But I like, a little bit of like, when you're walking in Brickell and you're walking down Wynwood and you see the little cafes and they're not kosher and I can't have that, but the food looks amazing. And I grew up with that and I grew up with seeing that. So I try to like bring a little bit of my South Florida, culture, so to speak, into the kosher scene. So like I'll have like a chicken and yellow rice dish, which like, it's chicken and yellow rice, but it's really arroz con pollo, and it's like a little bit more flavors in there. And I like to merge, if I can, a little bit of the world, like American cuisine and like Latin cuisine with like the Jewish style.
So when you cook for your family?
Yes.
On a regular basis?
Yeah, my wife also cooks, and my daughter likes to do little stuff here and there. My son started learning how to make eggs. I told him they have to learn how to make eggs at the basics. You got to be able to make eggs for yourself. Like that's the bare minimum.
Well, I want you to know that my son, I think he now knows 40. I think he now sort of makes eggs way better than his father. So, but there is something about when you cook at home, there is something that keeps you together with that. So tell us about the effect that it has on a group of people when they're sharing this commonality of food, whether it's kosher or Italian or whatever.
Yeah, I think familiarity is a nice part of it. Where like even for myself growing up, like a lot of the dishes I make now are either similar to that or based on that. And there's a familiarity where you're like, oh, when you have a certain dish, people are like, oh, I love it when you make this. Or I'll ask them, I'm like, hey, anyone have any suggestions on what I should make this week? And they'll say like, oh, you know what I love when you make that, this and that. They're like, there's a certain like history of the family and a history of your, generations. Because of course all the Meyers know the foods that we grew up with and we've all incorporated it into our adult lives in different ways. So we're like making our own connections with our family. And also, like I said, the connections of the community and different culture.
When you have family dinners, tell us about that get-together. So I want people to understand what that's like.
The Shabbat dinners? When we're all together?
Yeah, all together. How many people might that be?
Oh, goodness. Anytime we ever have any type of event, and I have to think about the guest list, that clicker goes from 0 to 20 really quickly. And you're like, okay, now let's talk about friends. Who's neighbors? Because just like the Meyers on that guest list is just like, we got, 10 of us, so 8 of us live down here. So they have spouses, kids, all that. So that's just like, I don't know, it's like an automatic 15, 20 people on the guest list.
It must be 12 years ago. My daughter married your brother. And when you guys would first come over to the house, I go, who are all... They all look the same. Oh, my God. How do you tell them apart?
There's a lot of us.
Yeah. So how many brothers and sisters do you have?
So there's 10 of us. Yeah, 6 boys and 4 girls. Yeah. And it's a lot. It's a lot.
And your mother figured out how to get it done. You got to give her that. Get done. All right? Well, and a lot of other stuff. Plus you guys. All right?
Yeah.
Which must have been quite a challenge for them.
It is.
All right. So when I don't cook at all right, for better or for worse, but so often when there's a chef, a cook, who's preparing food, sometimes the chef who's also supposed to sit down for dinner, when I watch it, sometimes they can't unless it's all prepared ahead of time.
Right.
But what's that like for you when you're preparing this for your people that are there and you want to sit down, but you got this last thing that's in the oven? What is that like for you, how you balance that?
Well, I think like you said, on Shabbat, most of the stuff is prepared already, so there's not a lot of tinkering, maybe with like salads or dressing, finishing touches, or plating. But I think it's also similar to hosting, where like when you're hosting, you're part of the conversation, you're making sure everybody's happy. So like eating the food or getting to the food is not necessarily the highest priority. It's more about like making sure your guests are happy and they're being fed and taken care of. So it's true. A lot of times you don't taste your own food right away. Like, you'll eat it later when everyone leaves. They get make stuff a nice plate, But I don't know. For me, it's just like the hosting and being able to feed people is like something that's very special. And I think that people, listen, food is everything because it's our life. That's how we live. We communicate. We need that.
So when you went for your interviews, plural, all right?
Yeah.
Some were were they all by video or some in person?
Some were on phone, and then it would escalate to video, and then there was a lot of follow-up interviews.
So what was that? What was that like for you when somebody says, we're going to pay attention to you down there in Broward County, Florida?
It's wild. It's wild because I think the whole process, I just kept thinking, like, why would they pick me? I'm, like, so random. And then it kept getting escalated, and then I just kept saying, could this happen? I, like, literally remember before we got the email, like, the email we would get, like, a final email saying, congratulations, you're on the show, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. Even before that, I was just like, yeah, it's because they said that we're going to let you know by a certain time. And I just assumed, like, it's probably not going to happen, not going to get my hopes up, you know? And when it came in, I don't think I believed it. Like, it was like a couple hours where I was like, because they were sending us emails right away, and they're like, make sure you have the
They got the wrong guy.
Right. Make sure you have all the clothing you need. And I'm like, going into my closet, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm picking out clothing for a TV show? This doesn't make any sense. Like, it was so wild. And then, I don't know. I think because a lot of us, you know, we bonded a lot, the cooks, because first of all, we spent a lot of time together. And second of all, for the last 6 months, we're the only ones that were able to talk about it with each other. So we have like our own little clique and group, you know, chats and stuff. And a lot of us are just like they were all real people. Like, everyone was a real person. This is not.
So you went to a place. Where was that?
We went to a place. We went to a hotel where we had our stuff over there, and then we would go back and forth to the studio to record. And we really got a lot of time to meet each other and talk, and it was really nice. You know, I really appreciated meeting all the people, all the cooks, such different people, and everyone was so respectful and kind and considerate. It was really beautiful. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like a really amazing group of people, and
it's very fulfilling for you, it looks like.
it's fulfilling because, you know, as a religious Jew, and I think there's a lot of negativity online today with anti-Semitism and that type of thing, and I didn't know what I was walking into, and to be honest, I was a little nervous because I'm extremely outwardly religious, and it's very obvious what the situation, you know, and I have to tell people I can't taste my food because of kosher, and explain a lot of the religious stuff, and I didn't know how that would react to that, or you think you're special, or this or that. And every person was just so, everyone from every different spectrum. There was, you know, Christian people there were non-religious people there was some Muslim people there. Everyone was just kind, and I really felt like accepted, you know?
So there was a lot of the camaraderie that caused you together, and then you had that camaraderie really is that food and then the personalities.
Yeah, and I think it might be cliche to say, but it's true. It's like food brings us together. Like, we all eat.
Really?
We all eat.
I'm waiting for the other half of that.
We all eat, and that's the bottom line. Like, we all, and it's what's really interesting is a lot of the dishes that I described, where I'm like, oh, I'm making this kosher dish, and they would say, oh, we have a version of that we do, you know, in Mexico. It's very similar. It's called this and that. And I would say, like, everyone has their own culture and their own combinations of food, and to be able to exchange it and discuss it and talk about it was really beautiful.
So you brought up Mexico. Where else were people from besides Broward County, Florida?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I want to make a shout out. There was another cook, Sophia, who lives in Pembroke Pines, and we couldn't believe it because she's like, where are you from? And I said, Pembroke Pines. And she goes, I'm from Pembroke Pines. Like, how can there be two cooks from Pembroke Pines?
Well,
so wild.
You bring it out of the entire country plus.
Who knew Pembroke Pines is going to get so much representation on the Food Network? Like, Pembroke Pines. And then there was another a cook from Coral Springs, actually. And then the rest were from all over the country. There was a lady from Alaska.
How many people were there altogether?
100 cooks.
100 cooks?
Yeah, that's the name of the show, 100 cooks. Yeah, I think originally they were calling it 100 Cooks in the Kitchen, something like that. I think that's when they first reached out, but they shortened it to 100 Cooks.
So explain it best you can, the setup. So there were 100 people, right? And each that wasn't all filmed at the same time, was it?
So we were all together at the same time. All the cooks would sit in an audience. We all had a number, 1 through 100. And then what they would do is they had a giant roller-matic type machine that would give us the theme. So they would say, like, your best party bite. And then they would say, we're going to be choosing 20 cooks today to compete in this challenge. And then they would use the bingo machine to pull out your number.
And you would go on a stage and it'd be 20 different sets.
Or 5 or 10, and just a huge kitchen, massive kitchen with different workspaces.
Other than with you, tell me about the food. Is it all everybody gets the same thing?
Right. There's so many fascinating details to how these things were made. They have a massive just pantry, fridge, everything is separate. They have a like a bakery section, the breads, spices, everything is there. But I will say that the quantities are not massive on purpose because they want you to like there's not enough for everybody to have every possible food combination. So it's sort of like it's real life. Like you go to the grocery store and you want to get a certain dish and you're like, oh, they don't have fresh salmon today or something. So then you have to say, okay, well, maybe you know what, I make grouper today. So I think it's very similar where they're recreating that when you go on the show and you think of a dish and then you run to the pantry and you're like, oh, they don't have.
So you don't know what the meal is going to be. You're just there to.
You have to think of it on the spot when they tell you. So if they say, make a picnic,
and all the stuff is there, you go pick out your stuff.
Right. So they have like proteins and they have veggies and produce and.
So it's not
spices.
All the stuff's not sitting on your table. The stuff you need for that.
I'll tell you something very funny. Like they let each cook submit 3 custom ingredients that they would want, that they would try their best to get, and then everybody could have maybe something like that. But I didn't request this, but then what was very funny was that in the bakery area where all the breads and the loaves and the baguettes and all that stuff were, I saw like a bowl with like 4 matzahs in it.
And you said, that's
and I was like, I think that's for me, guys. Unless anyone else requested matzah, which I doubt. I didn't even request it. But
they wanted to make sure they had that in
the
there just in case.
representation. And they, as I said, they were really, really just anything that they could do to help me. And I couldn't make the food kosher. They couldn't make the pots and pans kosher. And that's fine. I understood that. Thankfully, I had the rabbis work around that. But in any other aspect, they were just so unbelievably respectful and understanding and kind, and not just to me, to everybody. It was an amazing experience.
What was the gender split on that?
Right. So that's a very, very good question. I actually never thought about that 100%, but I did observe that there was obviously more women, but not so much more. Like it might have been 65 or 70-30, something like that. But there were a lot of very, very talented home dads. There was a lawyer there. There was a firefighter there. There was a woman there who used to work at the CIA, and now she's a home.
Thank you for your service, ma'am.
Thank you for your service. There was such wildly different. There was a guy who just did wild gaming, and he would cook whatever he caught, wild turkeys and stuff. And there was such different types. There was actually a guy there we were all talking about. Oh, how many siblings do you have? Oh, 2. How many siblings do you have? Oh, 3. And then I was like, I'm the oldest of 10. I thought I'm dropping bombs, and this guy tells me, oh, I'm the oldest of 10 too. I'm like, you are? And he said he
Don't
grew
invite me over for dinner, please. I know what it's like.
He grew up religious, through not Jewish, but a different type of religious. And they had a lot of children. I think his father was maybe a pastor or a priest. And I was just like, okay, see, you get it. It's we're on the same page here. We were having discussions about oldest of 10.
So we have a couple minutes left, and one of the things I like you to start thinking about is people that have helped you along your way, whether they're still with us or not. And I would like you to look. What camera should you look in? Which one? The second one? The far one. Oh, over here.
Over here?
Yeah. There you are. You're looking straight at it. If you want to thank him, feel free.
I feel like this is the Oscars right now.
It is.
I like to thank God,
it is.
obviously.
The Miami Oscars right here in South Miami.
I like to thank God, obviously. Not obviously. Everything is led by Him, and the fact that I was given this opportunity is incredible. It's an incredible opportunity, and I was so honored to be a part of this experience and be able to represent, Jewish people and religious people. I'm excited for people to see that, and I obviously want to thank my mother for making me have to go to the kitchen and cook eggs and yelling at me all the time that they're on high and why I should turn them down so I shouldn't burn them. That's appreciative, and that was actually very helpful. I actually want to give a very random shout out to someone named Menachem Weinstein, who, when I was stopping to post food pictures on my personal page because I thought maybe people didn't want to see it, he asked me about it, and I said, people don't want to see it. I don't think people want to see it. So he says, make your own food page and call it Sruly Cooks. He literally told me to do this and gave me this idea. And I was like, you know what? I will do that. So I can't imagine 7 years or 6 years or how long it was that when I decided, I will make my own food page. Thanks. Good idea. That I would end up on the Food Network. I mean, it's crazy. It really is crazy, and I'm really appreciative of everybody who's been a part of my life.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes people they don't want to look down the road only because they haven't thought about it. But that one thing you did, because obviously you had been thinking about it, helped all this occur. Because it's a thing that you did without regard that it came from somebody else, right? That you did that. So, as you look back over this journey to make it from, cooking at your house to the Food Network, that's a pretty big step. So congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate
on doing that.
Yeah.
And you're going to speak to your brother soon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Levy.
Wait, which one? Oh,
Yeah,
Levy.
you got a lot of them. Sisters. Sruly, again, congratulations
thank you
to you.
so much for having me.
And again, your Instagram, they can find you there?
Yeah, it's at Sruly Cooks, Sruly Cooks. And there's a lot of recipes there, original recipes, fun videos, restaurant reviews. And if you're looking for something kosher to make, there's we got a lot of good stuff.
I understand my wife's going to take you up on that offer pretty soon at the house.
Latkes,
Okay.
go, whatever you want.
Perfect. Let's look into this camera right over here. Folks, my brother Grant and I subscribe to the Disney rule, which is when you hug someone, don't stop until they do. And Benjamin, love you. Charlotte, Eleanor, Lauren, and Levy too. See you guys. Bye.